Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, good morning. I am Julie Shore, President of Career Development Advisors, and welcome to Next Step Wednesday. If you are joining us for the first time, we created this live stream to give you a little pep and some things to think about midweek as it relates to your career, your job. So again, if you're just watching, I work with, and my firm, organizations on their hiring, Kolbe team development, and outplacement and career coaching. And then I also work with individuals on their job and career coaching as well. And welcome to today's session. This month of September, we decided that we would feature different individuals and professionals to really hear about their career journey and the steps they've taken to perhaps give you some things to think about or inspire you. So feel free to chat in your comments or questions. Chrissy will be behind stage today while I interview a very special guest who's actually my brother, my baby brother, Joe Averill. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
Thank you for joining us. This is early morning for Joe. He's out on the West Coast, so he's drinking his coffee. But I thought, I really wanted to feature and invite someone with a different background, and Joe's going to talk to us a little bit about his journey. And again, feel free to chat in your questions. So welcome, Joe. Joe is currently a regional director of sales with a wholesale grocer. And I guess to get us started, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background, Joe, where you went to school and kind of what your first job was, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sounds good. So first I got to say to whoever's viewing, you have to excuse my background here. I got kind of banished to the garage. We have a 4-month-old at home, so the joys of working from home, this is my quiet place. So you have to excuse all that behind me.
It's all great. All real. We're all working virtually now. It's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess to start, so I went to school at King's College in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, small liberal arts school. I got my degree in finance, and then after I graduated, I joined the Marines in their officer candidate program, where I became an artillery officer. So I spent 4 years in the Marines and did lots of cool and fun and exciting things there. And then I got out. I never went in as I never wanted to be a career military person, but certainly the 4 years certainly had a huge impact on how I approach life and work in general. So from there, when I got out, I had a minor stint with Blue Rhino. I'm sure folks have seen them. They're the propane tank exchange at Lowe's and Walmart. Anyway, I had a brief stint with them for a couple months, and then the transition out of the military was a lot more challenging than I anticipated. So I took some time off and really, looked at different career opportunities, what I wanted to do. I mean, I looked at things from potentially going to law school to becoming a teacher, and ultimately I decided I wanted to fall back on my finance degree, what I went to school for, and I was able to get a job with my current organization back in 2008. It's hard to believe I've been with the organization 12 years now. So,
wow.
So I've had the organization's been really good to me. I've had jobs in several different functional areas, from finance to pricing, but the bulk of my career has been in sales. I did a little brief stint in our corporate development department, where I did some work with merger and acquisition project work. So I was able to do a bunch of different things with our organization in a relatively small amount of time.
That's great. And I first must go back and say, so thank you for your service, Joe. And of course, Joe and I come from a family of military, many branches, Marines, Air Force. But first, I just want to say thank you to all our veterans who have served or are currently serving. And you bring up an interesting point too, Joe, that transition from the military. So those few months you were off, well, let me back up. When you're at Blue Rhino, was there anything in particular that stood out that you're like, this just isn't the job for me? Do you remember, if you can think back years ago? But
yeah, so I mean, to me, the important thing was where I wanted to live. That job was in Richmond, Virginia, and Julie was there with her family, so I had that support system there. But it was really location. Other job offers I got were in like the Washington D.C. area, and it was kind of too big city for me. So the priority for me at the time was, where do I want to live after getting out of the Marines? And I figured the job would just kind of be second nature. But with that job in particular, it was a very small office. So I managed about 9 different truck drivers, and we had distribution throughout the state of Virginia. It was not a good spot for a young single person to meet new people in a new area, because it was a small office, kind of isolated. And then there were some internal things there where I just didn't feel like I was being set up for success. So it just wasn't a very good situation I found myself in. So I decided to just take a step back, and I was able to do that, in my financial situation from being deployed and everything. I was able to take a few months to say, okay, let me see what I really want to do.
And I think so often when people are talking about, I don't like my job, it's hard to decipher, was it the work itself and or environmentally what was there? It sounds like it was a little bit, both for you.
Yeah, I think the work was fine. I think it was more environmentally and I just didn't feel like I was being set up to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously they're a huge company. So anytime someone's in an organization, you have the culture fit, different offices have different feels, different organizations as a whole, corporate to an office in New York versus Richmond versus California. But to your point, so you took some time off, you tried to figure things out. And again, dusting off, taking the dust off the files here, you probably back then, how did you apply for jobs? Do you remember? You probably did the traditional route.
Yep, I did. A lot of the internet search stuff, and I got some hits from there, but nothing that really struck my fancy. But then ultimately, I got in with SuperValue through networking. It was through playing pickup basketball on Sunday nights with my brother-in-law, with Julie's husband, and I met one of the guys we played with who worked at SuperValue, and just got to talking and told him what I was kind of looking to do. And he said, hey, we have an opening, and he got me in there for an interview, and that's how I got in with the organization. So networking was the key factor for me during that time, for sure.
Yeah, and you bring up another point that I like to share with people I'm coaching is about 70 to 80% of jobs are found through networking, and the other 20 to 30% in that traditional route of let's go online and let's apply. Even in COVID and the pandemic, I would say it's probably split. The folks I'm working with 50-50 through traditional job sites versus the networking. And a startling statistic is it's close to 60% of jobs never hit a job board. So that's where that networking piece comes in and is so important. And so I've heard you already say, Joe, that you were in a management role with Blue Rhino, and then would you say it was a backstep, the job you took, because it was in finance, or did you not feel that way?
Yeah, I would say it was kind of a back step. I mean, certainly financially it was. I wasn't getting paid what I was at Blue Rhino or, when I left the Marines. So yeah, it was a bit of a step back, but not for long, and I took the approach of, okay, this will get me in with a good organization, and I'll be able to kind of prove my worth, and I'll have opportunities, and I'll be able to get back to where I was. And that was the case. So I was kind of took that approach, I guess, and didn't let, I can't take a step back. I didn't let that deter me. Like, I thought that was okay, and it's worked out.
So I guess, is there anything in particular you've learned from that? or another way to put it, are there any experiences that you wish you could go back and change based upon your career thus far?
No, I don't think I would change anything. I mean, I feel very blessed to be in the position I'm in now. Like I said, the organization has given me a lot of opportunities. I've had a lot of good mentors, people that have kind of taken an interest in my development. And so I think that's another kind of critical thing, right? Getting those mentors and having people that really want to see you grow. So no, I don't know that I would necessarily change anything. Yeah, I mean, have things been perfect? No, absolutely not. But looking back and at the big picture, I don't think I would change anything.
Right. I would agree. I think most people say, even if you're doing things that maybe you weren't doing now, so you were in management, you did some financial analysis, then you got into sales, right? And you said you also did you do some merger work or some analysis there, some prep there?
Yeah, that was a big step, I would say, outside of my comfort zone. So that's what moved me out to California. So I was living in Pennsylvania, Kate and I, my wife, and there was an opportunity to move out to California and work on these acquisition projects. We just acquired a wholesaler out here, something I'd never done, but it was a promotion and a new challenge and something new to learn. So I said, sure, let's go for it. It wasn't easy by any means. I mean, it was a big learning curve, especially mergers and acquisitions have their own challenges, and being new to that arena was certainly challenging, but I learned a lot. I'm happy I did it.
I think, so I just want to also kind of reiterate a couple things you touched upon. You have had mentors throughout your career. Sometimes organizations are really good at doing that for you, and sometimes you have to seek out your own. Did you ever have to seek out your own, or was it a combination?
Yeah, I would say I did seek out my own. I would, by nature, I guess I'm a pretty friendly and outgoing person, but I would, people in these different areas where I wanted to be, like sales, for example, I would just knock on doors and say, hey, do you have a minute? I'd like to talk to you about this. And, and just kind of, I don't know. I guess I did pursue it on my own and just ask, not ask for help even, just say, here's what I'm looking to do. What recommendations do you have for me to be able to get in this certain position? What do I need to do? And things just, I think, kind of naturally develop.
Yeah, and I was just having a conversation with a client last week that, it is, really formal, robust, internal organizational career development programs. Some organizations have them and some don't. And so where I've seen a lot of people learn and grow, myself included, is seeking out mentors and how valuable that experience has been. The other thing you mentioned is, you took on this, mergers and acquisitions. You didn't really have experience. You went out of your comfort zone. I have a lot of people I coach who will say to me, Julie, you're really making me uncomfortable. And I'm like, in and of itself, that statement doesn't sound very good, but it's meant to push people, because sometimes we can have our own self-limiting mindsets where, we're never going to grow unless we accept the challenge of change or feel uncomfortable. Do you regret taking on that experience?
No, not at all. It was challenging. It also made me realize what it is I wanted to do. So I knew that I didn't want to do that long term. But again, the things I was exposed to and the things I learned, it was just really, really valuable to me in my career to have that exposure, right? But now I'm, I've made it known to my organization, okay, hey, I think I want to get back in sales. I did this for a couple of years. It was challenging. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but I think my skills are more suited towards a sales role, and so that's where I'm at today. But I want to expand a little bit on what you said about getting out of your comfort zone, and
go for it.
That's one of the things I try to constantly kind of tell myself, because it's very easy, right? Nobody likes being outside their comfort zone. We all like to be comfortable, but one of the things I took away, I was fortunate enough, my organization sent me to a management program at USC, which was prior to me moving out to Southern California. But one of the main themes of that program was, we are going to get you comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Love
it was really, it was a hard course, but I'm 100% glad I went through it. And coming out of that, you just feel that much more confident about yourself and your skill set and the things that you can do and accomplish.
That's awesome. I love that. That was an actual course.
No, that was just a theme of the
theme.
program.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there were four specific courses, but the kind of overall theme of all the professors was, hey, it was that we're gonna get you out of your comfort zone, and we're gonna try to make you think differently about things. So.
That's awesome. And if you think about, so if anyone's watching or listening, whether you should take on a new project at work or try, or even go for this next opportunity, think about the times too where you did do that, go out of your comfort zone, and in the end, how did you feel? Like in the beginning, how did you feel about the program, Joe? And in the end, how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, at first you're like, what am I doing? Especially this program, I was away from my wife across the country. I'm like, what am I doing here? Is this really, going to be worth it? But then as you go through it and you accomplish these milestones, especially the ones where you're like, oh, this is like, how am I going to do this? And then you accomplish them, like I said, the amount of confidence you feel, and it just kind of snowballs as you take on your next challenge, right? And you just feel that more confident. I mean, I'm working on my MBA now, and some of these things where, a couple of years ago, some of these big papers and big presentations and all this research, I would have been like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Now it's like, okay, I got this, and you just kind of move forward with it and get it done. So.
Yeah. Anything that's uncomfortable at first is usually worth the pain, is usually worth the gain in the end. And, if you focus on that feeling at the end, it becomes all worth it. And so, I'm trying to be mindful of our time because I know Joe has to get to a meeting, but I have two more questions for you while we have you. One is, so through this process, what have been some of your, or through your career, throughout your career, what have been some of your core values that have sort of helped to lead you or guide you? Because I know when I work with folks, they think I always tell them, I don't have a magic 8-ball. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what your journey is going to look like. But what I can help you do is figure out, and assess what your core values are and where you want to go. Because I think we all learn something very much so by our experiences, the people we meet, what we read, etc. So what have been some of your guiding principles or core values for you throughout your career journey?
So certainly integrity, that's kind of a general one, kind of all encompassing, right? I think you have to be a person of integrity to earn people's trust, and to get things accomplished. I think that goes a long way. And then this is kind of probably encompasses in integrity, but doing the right thing. It sounds easy, but in my career, it's not always, doing the right thing doesn't always come to the forefront of people's minds. So I think sometimes you have to take a step back and ask yourself and your organization, hey, are we doing the right thing here? So I think those are probably the key ones. I mean, I'm very results driven too, and I think that stemmed from my time in the Marine Corps. Mission accomplishment. You can break down any wall, you can run through a brick wall. You got to get it done, and kind of having that mentality, I think, has helped me throughout my career too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about, at the end of the day, it's about getting something done. And I'm sure your organization is very lucky to have you and the people that you lead on your team. So as we kind of wrap up, Joe,
if I could also say one more thing about getting things done, but doing it in the right way. I'm not a believer in the end does not justify the means. I think you have to do things in the right way and accomplish them. So just wanted to throw that in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We gotta look at ourselves in the mirror at the end of the day, right? And organizations have all types of different leaders, managers, values. We could go on a whole other tangent about working with teams, but just because there's disagreements or team conflict doesn't mean that's a bad thing, but you always have to stay true to who you are and your core values. So just because you have some conflict at work doesn't mean you're in the wrong spot necessarily, but I think organizations need people who are, stay true to their values. And like you said, really believe in doing the right thing. So do you have any sort of motto that is so this is like part 2 of the guiding principles, any sort of motto you sort of live by? And the second part of that question would be any additional words of wisdom you could share with anyone watching who's in the middle of a career transition or thinking about one. What say you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna reference, as we were talking about a motto, I was thinking about this. We've already hit on this subject, but I'm gonna steal this from a book that I love, and I'll certainly tell what the book and the authors are here, but it's there's no growth in the comfort zone. And do you know what quote that's from, Julie?
Is that Extreme Leadership?
Extreme Ownership.
I knew it. Yeah.
By Jocko Willink. I'm saying that right? And Leif Babin. I love that quote. The other thing too, I something that I heard in one of my MBA classes is, what is your say-do ratio? Meaning, ask yourself, what's the ratio of what you say you're going to do versus what you actually do? And that really stuck with me because, I think it's very easy to say, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then it never happens, right? In business and personal life, whatever, So I really focus on your say-do ratio as well.
That's awesome. I wrote that down. I like that. Say-do ratio. That's fantastic. So, well, I really appreciate, Joe, you giving your time. And on such short notice, I had another guest who had to go to court. So that didn't work out, right? Duty calls. So really appreciate, Joe, you giving us your time, sharing your experience, your wisdom, and hopefully the messages come through loud and clear to everyone that growth is not easy and it's not comfortable, right? And that different experiences really help us on our journey, and no one has a straight line. There are very few people who have a straight line in their career path. And so this is called Next Step Wednesday because I want you to think about taking action in 5 different ways. So 5 steps to take this week through the remainder of the week and the weekend. Write these down. Do you enjoy your job? Why or why not? The second thing is, can you change your current circumstances? Are you empowered? Is it a bad boss? Is it a certain project? Is it, a team you're supervising? Can you delegate some things? Do you have too much on your plate? What is it? Do you have the power and control to change it? The third thing is reevaluate your core values. Many, many times when people are feeling this nudge at work or feeling uncomfortable, it could be because their core values are being violated in some way, shape, or form. So make sure you know what those are. The fourth thing is reach out to 2 people in your network this week, not because you need anything, but just to say hello, maybe give them something, show some gratitude. And the fifth thing would be dust off that resume. I don't care if you're actively looking or not, you should be keeping a running list of what those core accomplishments are, so that at any point in time, you're ready for a conversation. And in closing, want to definitely thank Joe again for being here and for your time. I know you have to head out, Joe, for a meeting, so thanks again.
Nope, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. This is fun.
Well, thanks for being here, and have a good rest of the day. All right, take care. And in closing, we do have a resume and cover letter workshop coming up next Wednesday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So whether you yourself have a need to get that resume up to speed, whether someone in your family, a child, a spouse, whatever, this will be a real hands-on workshop. I will provide you templates, resume and cover letter. It is open to folks. Again, it doesn't matter if you're in high school, college, you've been a professional for quite some time. We're going to roll up our sleeves and get some work done for an hour and a half. So to register, just visit my website, careerdevelopmentadvisors.net/events. And Chrissy, I don't know if there's anything else to add or comments.
Yes, I definitely want to make sure that we direct people to the website. So let's go ahead and bring that up here.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we'll be reposting that link as well. You are also more than welcome. I have complimentary strategy sessions, 15 minutes apiece, every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you have a particular situation you'd like to discuss, or you're an employer listening to this and you're just curious about what value our firm can provide or how we can partner with you, please feel free to do so. So I do have 2 upcoming events. Again, the first one is next Wednesday, the 16th, the resume and cover letter. And then we have one, I believe it's Friday the 25th, if you scroll down a little bit, Chrissy, on navigating the winding road of change. And if you are an employer and you think you might be facing a downsizing decision, please join us for this working session as well. Would love to have you join us. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'll have another one of my master coaches with me at that time too. So any other housekeeping and closing, Chrissy?
Nope, I think that's good.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.